small but important event. First of all, I would like to introduce my colleague and friend and ally, Mr. Arif Mammadov, former ambassador of Azerbaijan in Strasbourg and Brussels. And since from 2015, Arif Mammadov fight with us for human rights and democracy in Azerbaijan. And right now, we just try to explain what's happening in our country and which kind of support and understanding we need from EU and European institutions, where we say we with regarding the Azerbaijani community, which don't have his voices. I want also to introduce myself. My name is Emin Husseinov. I'm exile-based human rights activist. I'm living in Geneva since from 2015, and I'm continuing work and help to my colleagues and to my people, which is still a very difficult situation in our country. We decided to explain very briefly, each of us for 5-7 minutes, short presentations, and right now I want to give the floor to Mr. Arif Mammadov. He explained your situation with democracy issue in Azerbaijan, and later I will then a couple of points regarding the fundamental human rights. Yes, later we start interactive section. We have a live stream. We are recorded only us, and that's why we try to inform you for everything that we're talking here, because it's not only from European community, it's also from Azerbaijani community. We have a live stream which is broadcasted by Brussels Press Club, by our couple of national platforms, and our colleagues from Pakistani media, which is based also here. And we are open from all questions. Thanks again. And Arif, floor is yours, please.
Thank you very much for joining our event. In fact, we are sorry for very short notice. I know that we just published it yesterday, and thank you for having time to come in very short notice. Briefly, in February, we just knew in the morning all the country that President made the decree, announced the decree of holding elections, presidential elections, 6 months ahead of the scheduled time. I'm sure that not only Azerbaijani public in general, our society, but even many ministers, parliament members were caught unaware of this decision. Probably just he woke up in the morning and announced this decree. There was no any previous discussions or information about why or there is need for such an election, so that it was a completely shocking message for the society. Before that, you know that in general situation the country was very sad. There are more than 160 political prisoners in the country, including very well known like Ilgar Mammadov. There are other political activists, journalists like Mehman Husseinov, all deputies of the chairman of the Popular Front, Ali Kelmi, are under arrest. You know, it is like 160. It is bigger than in any other country. I know that what was the pressure on Belarus when there were only 5 political prisoners, but we have many times more than in Belarus, and we see quite a tolerant approach of the European Union and Europe in general towards what's happening in the country. all major opposition parties boycotted elections. The first was the immediately Milli Shura and Popular Front declared that these elections are illegal and they boycotted. A few days later, Musavat Party and Real Movement have also announced their decision to boycott elections. Even some of them, they said that even if we would like to participate, it wouldn't be possible to do it, because in 2 months, to collect 40,000 signatures or to have campaign in such a restricted environment was not possible. So even if someone would like to participate from opposition, it wouldn't be possible. Government almost appointed opponents of Ilham Aliyev. These are fake opposition who never criticized the government or president. I don't know what they will talk about. Access to the media is completely restricted. There were even opposition newspapers. They were first shut down, and then their internet sites have been blocked within the country. The wave of oppression went from opposition inside the country. Now there is a hunt of people outside of the country who dare to criticize the regime. You know that famous kidnapping of the journalist Afgan Mukhtarli from another country, from Georgia. He was kidnapped in the car, and it is registered in the cameras, and Georgian security ministry and Georgian officials recognize that Azerbaijani journalist was kidnapped from the territory of another country. And do you know what he is accused of, Afgan Mukhtarli? For illegally crossing the border. So he is kidnapped from Georgia, illegally crossed the border in the Azeri, I don't know, security minister car, whatsoever, and he's charged in illegal crossing of the border. It is itself a very ridiculous accusation. There is another journalist, Fikret Hüseynov, who has Dutch citizenship, and he's now detained in Ukraine on the request of the Azerbaijani government, and he cannot leave Ukraine for already almost the second month, and Azeri government tries to extradite him to the country, and probably thanks to the efforts of the Dutch government, he's still in Ukraine, but he cannot go back to Netherlands because of this completely ridiculous accusation. Prosecutor General Office sent a photo of him with Saakashvili, telling that he was plotting in Ukraine against the Ukrainian government with Saakashvili. So kind of ridiculous, completely ridiculous accusation. As I said, that the civil society is completely destroyed in the country. All the NGOs are just chased away. Those who are inside the country are in prison. Those who are not in prison are refugees in different countries, like Emin himself. He was a director of the important institute. Now, you had like 50 people working. Now he's political dissident living in Switzerland. But before letting him to flee the country, he was deprived of the Azerbaijani nationality. He forced to sign letters saying that to let him go out of the country. So the situation is completely deplorable. We, of course, we want from the world community, particularly from the European Union, to do more about Azerbaijan, at least to press or to ask the government to do some reforms or to liberate political prisoners. As I say, that there are people who are accused and completely ridiculous. You know, people on just going to the region to see the situation on another city is like you are planning coup d'etat. Like Ilgar Mammadov was arrested. He was just a few hours in the Ismaili city, which there were some people went out to the streets to protest against social rights, and he was arrested, and he's already 6 years in the prison. And he was director of the School of Political Studies of the Council of Europe. So that I think that the Council of Europe bears some kind of the responsibility for him, because he's not just a leader of the Real movement, but he's also director of the political school of the Council of Europe. We have heard lots of scandals around Azerbaijan, money laundering. You don't see any report on money laundering without Azerbaijan being on the first line. So any laundromat or Panama Papers, Azerbaijan is always the first. On corruptions in the European institutions, there is also the first country which comes, it is Azerbaijan. We have seen terror diplomacy scandal, which is still damaging the image of the Council of Europe. There is independent commission set up within the Council of Europe, and I hope that for the next session of the PASER, this report will be ready, and there will be more names which will come on surface. But unfortunately, small country like Azerbaijan managed to damage the image of one of the oldest European human rights institutions like the Council of Europe. The scandal is continuing. Now, these snap elections, why there were many questions. Why President decided to hold this election? The only explanation is that because of the number of important events in the country, like Formula One, or some conferences, like cultural events, there was taken decision to hold elections 6 months in advance. And I'm not giving you can have changed the time of the election, but not announce it just 2 months before that. It was also in itself the way it was done, it was very ugly. Why decision? Because many people question, and Azerbaijani society discusses why president has taken this decision to have this snap election. First reason is deep social economic problem. Economy is in a deplorable situation. National currency fell at least twice. Banking sector is completely in complete problem. Almost half of the banks have been shut down. The prices are going up. Salaries are, pensions. Even pensions, government cannot manage to pay the pensions in time. Nevertheless, the pensions are now the lowest in the region. We were proud some time before that we had the highest living standards in the South Caucasus. Now we have the lowest, the worst situation, social situation among all the countries of the South Caucasus. And the first reason people say that the president understands that by the scheduled elections in October, situation would be much worse than it is now. And because situation goes from bad to worse every day. And social discontent of people is growing also quite significantly. We see in the regions, people speak more and more openly about social problems. As I said, the pensions, there are even electricity, gas supplies are a problem even in significant part of the city of Baku. Only in the central areas there is stable supply of gas, but in the regions there is problem. So we are going to be savior of Europe for gas supplies, but we cannot supply gas to the population even in the capital. And when European politicians say about Azerbaijan being the guarantor of the energy security of Europe, it seems a little bit too exaggerated. We see that the new exploration of new fields have been stopped. Many oil gas companies left the country, and the output of both gas and oil have reduced considerably. There are other reasons people say that to calm down the internal circle of president, because after he appointed his wife as the first vice president of the country, there was quite important fighting within the presidential team. They were like fighting of the clans. People call ruling clan like Nakhichevani Armenian clan, and the clan of First Lady known like Pashaev clan, and apparently attempts to raise her importance in the system of the country caused significant resentment from the old guard. So it is named as a second reason that to try to stabilize this unity of the team, which is I doubt that it will be possible to do it, because we see it is completely in chaos. Oligarchs their businesses are taken from them. They have been once very powerful oligarchs like Fazil Mamadov, Minister of Taxes. His business has been taken. Minister of Transport Ziya Mamadov, he is also quite important part of his business has been also. We see other oligarchs which are targeted, their businesses are being taken, but apparently it's not happening so smoothly, and of course they try to some way to resist it. We have seen at least 4 factories have been burned recently, mostly military factories producing military arms, and we see probably we'll see more things like that in the future, because these oligarchs and once powerful people are trying to show their resentment, and probably this will be we will see the signs of this even more in the future. I can go on and on, but probably I will stop here and leave the place for your questions, because we are here firstly to answer your questions and not just talk. Thank you, and Emin, please.
Thank you. Regarding the snap election, regarding the decision, I would just remind you for 20th of January, just 1 week before Aliyev decided to go to snap elections, head of the Central Election Commission publicly says to local and foreign journalists, they said for election must be happened in 17th of October. And what we decide, they decided, after just 1 week, organize snap elections. First, they make simultaneous step like Maduro, because Maduro at 21st of January decided to organize snap elections in Venezuela, and elections days should be started at 3rd of November in Venezuela, 2018. In Azerbaijan, 17 October 2018, and just a week later, Aliyev, when he returned from Davos Economic Forum, from 25th of January, 2 or 3 days later, early morning, when nobody even weighed this kind of decision, they told for, I'm going to snap elections, without consultancy with any stakeholders. No, we understand we have only one general stakeholder, is President Aliyev, but for us, even for some kind of visibility, they should be organized discussions in the parliament and constitution, because they don't do anything. And finally, what we show, I just want to add additional part regarding the political reaction from international community. It's a bit sadly for us, for world, strongly reacted to snap elections in Venezuela, when just 4 days later, European Union, United States, like State Department, and Lima Group member states, there's 12 states, including Canada and 11 Latin American Venezuela neighbor states. They make joint statement for we are not approve snap election result because in country Venezuela not give guarantees for 3 fundamental freedoms: freedom of assembly, associations, and expressions. That is what is, we have the same situation in Azerbaijan. They say for you don't have good competitive environment for oppositioners. You have political prisoners. You have political leadership in prison. That's for this reason. These states, like EU member states, US State Department, Canada, and 11 Latin American members, say so we are not approve these elections, but zero reactions. And what is also shocking for us, just 5 days later, our minister, Mehmet Yarov, hosted by Federica Mogherini, here, they make very friendly handshakes, photos, talk very familiar with each other. They say for Federica, she say to him, Elmar, like old friends, which is for me, I'm shocking. I'm sure for Federica Mogherini knows about 161 political prisoners. I'm sure, she knows for what's reality with civil society, when we all civil society environment destroyed by Azerbaijani government. And after this hosted our Minister of Foreign Affairs in this, like next step of this dialogue issues, Azerbaijan prepared sign this strategical agreement in the June or July, when political opposition, when civil society is not involved to this process, even for, we don't know what's happened there. It's dark forest for us, these negotiations. Civil society, I'm talking like civil society representative, which is have 99% of his staff in the country, which is have people outside the country. In the Georgia, we have regional office. We are not involved. We have a representative here in Brussels. Nobody even talk with us. That's why we organize this press conference, or make the attention here in Brussels. We understand now, even all leadership in the European Commission prepared himself for 2019 elections. They started campaign, even they not say for their campaigner, but they start to campaign by himself and forget elections issues in Azerbaijan. They not forget election issues in Venezuela, what I'm surprised. They not forget issues with elections in Russia. Aliyev decided to organize elections just between 2 internationally important elections. In elections in Russia, there is now all the European community talking about these issues. 18th of March, 22nd April elections in Venezuela, and 11th April election in Azerbaijan. When all international community focuses on to these topics, like sanction darling country, all people forget, even they forget issues with democracy, but not forget talking to Elmar, Mohamed Diarra, they say for Elmar. I think, I'm like civil society, I'm a bit critical always from state officials. For me, it's better if she shows like some kind of distance. You are not equal with us. You should go and learn what is democracy, what is human rights, what is European values. But unfortunately, she hosted him like one of the brave European leadership which shares same values with her, which is not true. That is very important. Regarding the situation with civil society, I just want to jump to these issues because this political part I already talked enough. Regarding the issues with civil society, now last week participated in OSCE Parliamentary Assembly, and we speak with the leadership of OSCE regarding the observation issues. And I asked ODIHR director, I asked OSCE Parliamentary Assembly President, OSCE Parliamentary Assembly Secretary General, I asked Secretary General of OSCE, how you can organize observation missions if me or my colleague in Azerbaijan not able to even participate in observation mission as like local observers. That's very strange. I speak with 2-3 very important election watchdog leaders in Azerbaijan, which is still working in Azerbaijan. I don't want to share his name, but what she say me, they say me, Emil, we have completely different environment compared with even this parliamentary election in 2015. Government never cared about the issues with local observers. Opposition or civil society always, without any limits, able to make accreditation in Central Election Commissions for his people. Right now, this process is very controlled, even by director of Central Election Commission, Mazahir Panahov. They not approve each person if they not approved by big bosses in top of this Central Election Commissions. And this is looks for when opposition decides, but they go to active boycott, as like in Russia, Alexei Navalny says, we should not completely boycott, but we should mobilize the community to show and prove less legitimacy from this regime for the future. For local and from international communities, they decide to don't allow the local observers participate in observation process. And my question is now to international community, especially from European, from Brussels community, you should react to these issues because we don't have even any kind of hopes with different institutions. Aliyev don't care about OSCE. They also not very care about Council of Europe, but they care about the European Union because European Union bigger donor, institutional donor, which is have huge resources to invest to his like energy, completely energy-oriented economy, which is his guarantees of his power. And he care only about this, but when we talk to European Investment Bank for, don't give loan billions to Aliyev regime for build South gas corridor. We understand for here in Brussels, it's very cold now. It's cold, it's already all winter very cold, and Gazprom very happy for, they start to sell lots of gas to you. We understand for it's some difficult, but you need to understand also us. This main situation with civil society, right now we're strong alone. Nobody care about us. No Americans, no Europeans. We are still alone. We believe for these values, but that's not enough when we only believe. We say for we also, I'm asking the ODIHR for guys, we want to join you and participate in observation mission. How you can help us? We need a bit institutional support. They say for guys, you know, we are independent bodies. we are not able to support civil society. And all people in Azerbaijan, from diplomatic community, they also forget talking about role of the civil society on election observation mission. That is very difficult situation when regarding the issues with freedom of expressions. Current situation, much more worse compared with previous election. Our organization have experience for media monitoring since from 2008. We have organized pre-election media observations according to the OEC and European Council of Europe standard, which is very clear, and this is general methodology. But now, even we are not prepared for these elections. We don't have idea how we can manage for this very short time to organize or mobilize like community. We just don't have enough time for speak with potential supporters to ask like institutional support, like provide the trainings to observers or technically organize something. This situation with freedom of expression much worse compared with previous years because Azerbaijani government already started to block internet, which has never happened until 2017 in Azerbaijan. This is something new, and Aliyev, as one of the reasons why he's organized, decided to go to snap election. We are not sure, because day by day we have new voices in internet, in YouTube. Every day we have some kind of new bloggers, which is prepared like very strong, very emotional videos, but millions views in YouTube change public opinion. And Aliyev understands now his propaganda, state propaganda is no more opinion makers machine. It doesn't work. And that's what decided to go to election right now for 7 years. And if it's a go, and if this silence from EU European institution continued like this, I told you, I don't have any ideas how we can manage to realize this European virus in our country, because all people day by day decided just to leave the country. They understand for no any hopes, no any benefits or feedbacks from EU. And right now, I think it's more clear, send the message to our government that enough, you should give even the small flaw, you should even somehow shows for you are ready to give the guarantees. And now authorities just try to manipulate with European public opinion there. They say, for guys, we are prepared for big pardoning act. We prepare for big amnesty act. Forget about. Nothing happened before elections. Just yesterday, one of the MPs just said, oh, we decided to organize this amnesty act after elections because we are very busy, too many applications, people apply us, we try to check all of this. That is issues they understand for even Azerbaijan government release couple of well-known political prisoners. All Europe forget about huge problem with false presidential. This is presidential, like false presidential terms for Aliyev. And if you calculate since from 1993, their family, Aliyev's family, stayed on the ruling floor, which is shameful. It's like issues with Assad. It's like issues with North Korea when the dad delivered his power to his son, and now what Azerbaijan is only single state in the world when husband provided half of the executive power to his own wife, to Mrs. Mehriban Aliyev. And this shows for this is completely nepotism and kleptocracy, already bigger strength in Azerbaijan, and they start to export this practice to the other neighbor countries. We show for how Tajikistan started to implement and change constitution. Tajikistan is not member of Council of Europe, but they're member of OEC. And I'm sure until Europe don't show for they strongly support his own values, we can manage to change the situation. And we need more and strong support and understanding from EU. That is our main role. And we try to continue to organize series of events. Just we try to organize one of the events just week before elections, and a couple of days after election, especially here, because right now we understand and believe the government don't have any change. It's very dependent by EU. They're very dependent by EU because it's only a single chance for him to cooperate in this energy environment with gas, source gas pipeline issues, with Baku Tbilisi Jahan oil pipelines. We start export not only our oil and gas like energy values there, we start export also our authoritarianism values to Europe, as the recent scandal with Azerbaijan and Landromat. Different story shows for Aliyev, compared with civil society, with us have strong power, even here in Brussels, in other European capitals, in Paris, in UK, and they try to successfully manipulate it with European political opinion via his lobbies, which is just make quite productive job for very big money. And we as like civil society, we don't have resources for doing this. We have completely different role, but that's what we show, and it's very difficult for us when we don't see enough support by EU, the Council of Europe. This looks like we are staying alone. Right now, again, I just want to strongly repeat, we meet before organized events here. I have to participate in winter session in Strasbourg. We spent whole week there. I spent whole week in Vienna. We met with permanent missions. We met with all secretariats and MPs from 57 OSCE member states. And all people there speak about problem with Russia and Ukraine. But no one right now talking about Azerbaijan, which is very difficult for us. Without international attentions, it's impossible to even realize some hopes which we try to do. Thank you very much for your attention. Sorry, very long. Thanks.
Any questions? Yeah, please. Introduce yourself and then.
Yeah, my name is Toglu. As you already know, I'm a student here. And my question is to Mr. Mamadov. As I know, you have been an ambassador in Strasbourg for a long time, and after it was created a criminal case about you, and it was said that there was financial fraud.
Yeah.
Can I know your opinion about it, please?
Thank you very much for the question. You know, anyone in the opposition have been accused of financial irregularities. It happened immediately after I criticized the government. There was a huge outcry in the media. There were threats to kidnap me from Brussels. Week after that, they sent financial inspection. But there was financial inspection when I was there. When I completed my mission, there was financial inspection, and even they put even so ridiculous things like I didn't pay for the lights. I stayed I lived in the building of the mission. There was one counter, and how could I pay for the light of the mission? Functional light. So there was that I bought my private car without VAT, but this is a privilege of all diplomats and even technical staff. So that it was completely ridiculous. They even couldn't find anything with all their efforts, and they decided then to forget. They even didn't go further. They just. Because this kind of accusations are put against anyone who criticizes the regime. Recently, the last one was Mehman Aliyev, director of Turan agency, that he, Emin Husseynov, Hadija Ismailova. So anyone who criticizes the government, he is either drug addict, he's a weapon smuggler, or he's he's accused of corruption. And I have 100%, you know, I can go if there is just a quote. All my, those who worked for me in different periods, they were called tobacco. Some of them decided to stay here because they were forced either to sign something against me or to be put in prison. So this is, within the country, it is like a complete terror situation. What is the worst thing? What is the worst thing? That the situation in Azerbaijan today creates excellent, there is excellent ingredients for social explosion. As I said, and if there is no European attention to that, it will finally end up with social explosion because they are all ingredients, as I said. Low, an ability of the government to pay even the pensions, salaries, big tension within the ruling elite, and with all the deplorable situation that we just described here, we see today that the opposition in Azerbaijan is not still broken. We see today that main opposition parties decided to boycott jointly the election. Just yesterday, the chairman of the Milli Shura of opposition parties, Cemil Hasanli, made appeal to all opposition parties to organize jointly manifestations. So opposition decided to boycott actively these illegal snap elections. And I criticized several times the government that your behavior, the way that you treat and you manage the country, creates a situation when the only solution for any change in the country is social explosion or social unrest. And unfortunately, if there is no support for the civil society, if there is no European voices just starting to do something about this, putting pressure on Ilham Aliyev, we might have completely deplorable, completely, unexpected or unpredictable developments in the future. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Please introduce yourself.
My name is Musa, living in Belgium, an Azerbaijan living in Belgium. My question is mainly to the organizers of the event. Like, after all, we are all Azerbaijanis, we share the same blood and we share the same land. As you all know, during the month of February, it's a black month for us, as well as January as February. And it hurts me that we have to, during the month of February, that there is such an event to criticize elections. I understand everything. We can criticize elections, human rights in Azerbaijan, other problems, social issues, etc. But why especially during the month of February and just end of February, where we have to commemorate actually the events of Khojaly, where has been a genocide by the Armenian forces in Azerbaijan? That's my first question. And have you guys already organized something for Khojaly or not? And the second thing is to Mr. Former Ambassador, that who is the co-chairman of ANT, Azerbaijanese Democracy, I guess, which stands for unity in Azerbaijan, for democracy in Azerbaijan, for a good future for the people of Azerbaijan. But I've been following the activities of Mr. Mammadov and ANT. In the directorate of ANT, are there some few people who are standing openly for separation in Azerbaijan, for separation of regions in Azerbaijan, and Mr. Mammadov knows this himself as well. Other things is that my last question actually is also to Mr. Mammadov, like, Mr. Mammadov criticizes, not just, I'm trying to make my logic work, you know. Mr. Mammadov tries to, or is accusing the government of Azerbaijan a lot about fraud, financial problems with the EU institutions, with the EU Council, that Azerbaijan is damaging how should I say, is damaging the image of the small country as Azerbaijan, is damaging the image of the European Council. While Mr. Mammadov himself was for many years part of the Azerbaijani government, Azerbaijani diplomacy, I think for 15, 16 years, if it's not more. He has been representing Azerbaijan in Brussels, in Strasbourg, for many years. And just after being dismissed of position, Mr. Mammadov starts all this criticizing and everything. And these are the three questions on which I would like to have an answer, please.
Let
First
me
of all,
explain.
Khojaly, and then we'll
I reply regarding the Khojaly and to.
Could I'm very sorry to interrupt. Could I add very small?
Yeah, please.
Because these days, the last days of February, it's been a tradition for the Armenian lobby. They organize a lot of events in the European Parliament, European Council. They start to do a lot of things. Like they have triumph that they killed babies, they killed children in Khojaly. And today they have an event in the European Parliament also. And it hurts me that my valuable time I have to come here to ask my own Azerbaijanis why they don't organize an event for Khojaly instead of being a part of another event at the European Parliament where I could ask Armenians, why did you commit a genocide in Khojaly? Instead of that, I'm wasting my time here to ask you guys. It hurts my heart. It hurts my heart emotionally. It hurts myself also as a human being that I have to ask you guys why you organize this instead of organizing something for Khojaly and commemorate the 613 people who were killed during the cold month, as you said, as it's called in Brussels. That time, you know it very well, it was much more colder in Khojaly. Well, the children, the women, the men were forced outside of their houses without arms, without anything by the Armenian forces. And instead of commemorating that, thinking about that, I'm here asking a question to my former ambassador and to Mr. Husseinov, why you don't organize something for Khojaly?
Thank you very much for your questions.
Thanks a lot.
Regarding the Khojaly, as like civil society, we have a couple of media outlets, and we distribute a lot of materials to promote this tragedy in the world, and even we use the Instagram, etc. Regarding the make attention in international level, I believe for Azerbaijani government make a lot of things, quite good things for these issues. If you ask me, for example, our organization, I have a I'm not completely disagree with the Azerbaijani government. For me, even this not legitimate government, but even for this, I'm personally by myself. I make retweet by our mission in Geneva, and I put my additional things. I have thousands of my followers, and I'm doing this via my tools. I remember, even people ask me why you are not make distributions of this alert regarding the US SNAP press conference. I'm here since from Monday, and I have a couple of private meetings in Europe, and we're always talking about the 1 million refugees, about peaceful community which is killed by occupant. But this is different issues. This is military conflict, which is all world, UN, all institutions, Council of Europe, even EU supported our territorial integrities and thanks against for this. And this has happened in 1992. But now, we're talking about 631 murdered persons. This is genocide. But today, 630. Well, and that is problem. This is happened while we go, but we still continue to talk about not only us. We are not very powerful. We don't have enough resources to organize lots of events. And we see when Azerbaijanis organize some events, we are attended. That's my response. And even if I'm not distributed invitations for this day, but for me, I also believe without good governance, without democracy, without respect to human rights and rule of law, it's impossible to solve the issues with conflict in Nagorno-Karabakh. All world believe for Azerbaijan it's victims. That is clear. Right now, what we need to do, we need to give much more brave state governance in Azerbaijan compared with Armenia, because Armenia is also a problematical state. And I don't have any illusions about Armenia. I know it's like same regime, which is tried to use Karabakh issues for his own ruling flow. But my role, if you ask me, I'm representative from human rights organization, which has covered only issues with freedom of expressions. That is one point. And again, I'm always to support any activities from Hocalı. But again, I'm not agree if somebody criticize us. Sometimes I understand in the internet, lots of people try to change focus from one thing to another. This is completely two different strong problem. Karabakh is much more strong problem compared with the problem with rule of law. But again, it's two simultaneous problems. Without solving issues with human rights and democracy in Azerbaijan, for me, as for human rights defenders, I never believe we can do something, because we don't have even good governance in Azerbaijan. We are completely maybe one of the totally corrupt country in the world. It's just all world joking with us. And if you see for nepotism, issues which has not even happened in North Korea, like North Korean president or secretary general, Kim Jong-un, he's even not delivered second powerful role to his sister. She's person number 2 in the state. But even in North Korea, understand, for this is not looks nice. So you don't need to provide to half of the presidential power to your wife.
Yeah.
Even say Mehriban Aliyev, she is person number 2 informally, last 15 years. Nobody knows this. But why you should look to all the world? And if you ask me, who joke with Azerbaijan, even some kind of our Armenian enemies, they not used our arguments. They always joking about, so looks, guys, even you don't have even democracy or a small culture of democracy inside your own ruling party, you can able to find some kind of successful person which is able to replace you, even in Putin in Russia, Putin Medvedev. They try to play this game inside their family. That is, for me, shameful, I'm sorry. But please.
A small comment to your answer, sir.
Yeah.
You spoke about all the political issues, while I'm talking just about the human thing, that just commemorating a genocide, you don't need a lot of more of resources like you organized today with a few people. Organize the same thing for just commemorate Hocalı for 15 minutes, let's say.
Yeah, I just try to, because with these elections, all previous years, we tried to do our best for these initiatives, even in US, in Europe. That's, for me, it's no principle. For me, Karabakh, refugees, is always biggest heartbreaking problem, as for Azerbaijan. But now, when we have just less 2 months before the elections, which is unprecedented elections, it's open new page in our historic, when 7 years, even it's kill all hopes from civil society, from political opposition. You can imagine, I'm not politicians, but I understand clearly they kill all hopes for democratic transition in the country. Even before 5 years, after 5 years, opposition have a time to just try to find some kind of hopes for the future. They say we should try to fight for freedoms, for human rights. Now community that completely hopeless. That's.
So you could do that in the beginning of March, not end of February. Just 2 days, 3 days, just in respect of the people who were killed. That's all.
Okay. Firstly, I believe that this is completely immoral, shameful to use the memory of the victims of the war to promote the regime. This is completely immoral. This is the way that the government tries to attack anyone who criticizes the government on being pro-Armenian, that Armenians are organizing the same day some event at the European Parliament. This is like manipulation that is aimed to attack opposition. Everywhere, it's within the country. Whoever criticizes the government, he is labeled as being pro-Armenian, the spy of the West, or whatever. Secondly, on Nagorno-Karabakh, on Khojaly, the memory of those who died in Khojaly are very, very dear to all of us. We remember their memory with sadness and with respect. I made my status on this thing on Facebook, and I would like to remind that my statements are read by more people than all official media in the country. We members of the AND participated at the demonstration held in Germany, in other places, on support of Khojaly. And the worst thing, as I say, that this is the way of the government to also one of the tools, as I said, the other tools as accusing of corruption or being pro-Armenian all the time anyone who criticizes the government. So that are you a student here?
Excuse me?
You said you're a student here, or you work in the government?
I have no connection with the government.
Okay, I doubt about that. Okay.
I would like to mention that I spoke with very much respect to you, as to Mr. Huseinov, which I didn't see from you in your speech. You started like...
We had many students, I knew...
I was asking you about Khojaly event and you linked me to the government.
Yeah, I'm sure that there is link. Okay, I will try to find it out.
If you can prove that, I would be very proud of you.
We'll prove when we come to power. We will prove that.
It's good.
Yeah.
I hope one day you will come to power.
Yeah, be sure.
Yes. My other two questions about and that you criticize the government, the diplomacy, just after being dismissed of position, as you were years of in position.
We are not going to answer all the time to provocations.
It's not provocation. It's a fact that the members of are people who support the separation of Azerbaijani regions. And you say AND stands for unity and Azerbaijan democracy, while people in the directorate, people who are your right hand, your left hand, they are pro-separation in Azerbaijan. How we can link that? My logic is not working, sir.
Let me...
Like AND stands in general for Azerbaijan unity, Azerbaijan democracy, but people who are in AND, people who are in directorate of AND, stand openly for separation of Azerbaijani regions. So this is something I don't understand, Mr. Mammadov. Could you please answer me? I'm in open dialogue.
Yeah. We also
freedom of speech.
Yeah.
This is my freedom of
we
speech.
Respect all your questions, and we have a live stream. No one. But again.
Yes, live stream, sir. Freedom of speech.
Yeah. The country, 20% of the country is occupied because of this regime, and everyone knows that. There are more facts coming on this. There is not any member of the AND who is for separation of the country. Name one single example when someone said about separation of the country. This is ridiculous, and I don't want to go to.
I'm not going to vision certain persons.
To words shooting.
About whom I'm speaking.
But
people in the directorate of AND.
Go to embassy and ask for your reward.
You are the co-chairman of AND. You should be responsible for the organization. No?
Attention to main topics on our meetings, because it's a snap elections. Elections happen at 11 of April, and final call, what we want to say, no one from real opposition participated there. No one from civil society able to participate in election observation missions, like as part of international missions, as part of local. And these elections, regarding the Karabakh issues, this is very connected issues, because now, I'm so sorry. I understand your points, but you need to understand also us. We are organize this event jointly with ANT, because Arif Mammadov based here in Brussels. They have very good experience with cooperations and experience with negotiation with European institutions there. And right now we also, when you talk for, I just want to add, for most of the people ask me why I'm as like human rights defender, which is always fight for human rights and democracy in Azerbaijan, organized, for example, events with the former Azerbaijan government. But now, for us, like each person from the government, which has decided to what this is enough, all of this false what we have in our country must be stopped. There is our potential. We are all Azerbaijanis.
Yes.
We don't need to separate each other for your work before. You know, former journalists, which is famous journalists. No, I just told you.
Your logic. Why Mr. Ambassador then, Mr. Ex-Ambassador, is accusing me of being a part of the government?
Yeah,
if I follow your logic,
I'm not agree with Ambassador regarding this. Maybe it's.
I know you.
Sorry.
Yeah,
The second thing is, Mr. Mammadov is putting
I know
in
you.
question
I know you.
the
I recognize your
legitimacy.
face.
Mr. Mammadov is putting in question the legitimacy of the current government, and he wants to come to power in Azerbaijan. While I'm asking him about his legitimacy, he doesn't want to answer.
No,
he doesn't want to look me
right,
in the eyes.
Right
he
now,
looks like this.
Right now, I have.
Is this the manner he will dialogue with me when he will be in power? I'm sorry. Then I will ask no one to vote for him, because he doesn't want to.
Nobody will
with me.
listen to you.
No.
Mr. Mammadov, I want to dialogue with you. Where is your dialogue?
Let's do like this, like in constructive way. I speak.
I follow your construction, sir.
Yeah.
I follow your structure.
You know, Rasul Guliyev, former head of the government.
I'm not talking about these people. I'm talking about now. What is now?
Yeah, what is
You
now?
said Hocalı is before and everything. Okay, I'm speaking about now. Mr. Mammadov wants to come to power, but I asked him questions.
If there are
he's not
other
answering.
questions,
Please.
please give.
Mr. Mammadov, this is not the way to handle your own citizens.
Okay.
This is not the way
Yeah,
you should
good
do
time.
it.
Go to Fuad and he will explain.
Why you insult me? I'm speaking with respect. I came here, I
I
listened
also
to you.
respect you.
You didn't respect me. You started your speech with insult. This
Please.
is not the way you should do it, Mr. Mammadov. This is not the right way to do it. I'm very sorry
Please
for it.
give your question.
I'm not a part of anything, of any organization. I'm just an Azerbaijani.
I'm so sorry,
human
but
being. That's
let's
all.
give the floor
And you are
to.
ignoring me, Mr. Mammadov. This is not the right way to do a press conference.
But we give enough the floor for you to
You are
explain
accusing
yourself.
the government of not freedom of speech, not dialogue, not this, not that.
This is one-man show.
And
Okay,
you are
I'm
doing the
sorry.
same. You don't give freedom of rights.
I'm
freedom
so
of
sorry.
speech.
We should
I'm not
finalize
doing
because we have 2 minutes
I have
left,
my
and please,
answers. I
please.
have my answers. Mr. Mammadov is going away from the
But
questions.
we don't have any censorship. We have a live stream. No worries. Like
Yes,
you
but
are.
why not?
But they
answer
have
the
the
questions?
right to not respond. But again, I'm not like spokesperson from Mr. Mammadov. I'm completely from different organization. If you
Okay,
want to
you're
speak with
speaking
me,
against the person with whom
I'm
you
ready
organize
for.
something.
Even we have equipment and journals here. I'm ready for live like show with you. But again,
But here and now, not later when I will be in power, as Mr. Mammadov said, but here and now.
for me doesn't matter. I'm ready to all this.
I proved that your legitimacy, I didn't even put it under question. I proved that your legitimacy
Please,
doesn't exist.
Please give.
For you, it's, I don't need your legitimacy.
And if you will prove something later, Mr. Mammadov, if you will write some things about me or I don't know on your Facebook page, I will not
Please.
agree with it because I'm here now to talk with you face to face. I will not go home behind a computer, I will write to you.
Please.
I'm face to face with you. If you don't dare, then you don't have the right to write about
Please,
something later.
Let's.
You don't have the right, Mr. Mammadov, to write about. If you write something about me, then I will be very, very,
I'm
very,
so
very
sorry.
sad
Let,
about what
please
you're doing
give
now.
your question.
I'm face to face. You go away from my questions, and later you will write on your Facebook page.
I'm so sorry.
This is not.
I'm
good.
so sorry.
This is not good what you're doing,
Please
Mr.
give
My
Mammadov.
name is Abdul Latif. I am a freelance journalist based in Brussels. So I am also associated with the news agency which has been recently registered, and its office is already functional, and we are starting operation very soon. So the news agency name is Prentice News Agency. So my question is to understand Azerbaijan vote and boycott politics, about the opposition's decision, why they went to go for boycott, why not they choose to join the vote politics and prove their public support. So what is the politics behind this?
Regarding boycott, yeah?
Yeah, regarding boycott.
Opposition.
Boycott, now Mr. Mammadov is boycotting me also.
Yeah. On the boycott, firstly, there wasn't enough time to go to election. Normally, there should be at least 2 months before. There was just a decision was announced just a little bit 10 days before this 2-month period. There is no as I said, opposition media has been blocked. There is no possibility to go to the regions. When the leaders of opposition go to the regions, they are arrested. Popular Front chairman, deputies, all arrested. So why to go to elections and how you can go to elections in completely unfree environment? So that even though many opposition members, many people, including İsa Gambar and others, they expressed their will to go for elections, but when it was planned and it was announced for 17th of October, many were ready to go to elections. But when one day we knew that it is just postponed and scheduled 6 months ahead of already declared time of election, there was no sense. Even those who would like to go, there wasn't even technically not possible to go for elections. And this is also the kind of protest. This is also the kind of saying that we don't agree with such kind of management of elections when there is no space, there is no freedom, there is nothing. Why to go to completely, why to be the part of this game, Why to be the part of this, theater?
And what will be the scene when...
This is also theater. I'm very sorry to interrupt everyone. With respect to every person, but I will leave this room because I'm not agreeing with you, sir.
Thank you.
But you are saying it's not right.
Thank you very much for coming.
I'm face to face with you. You tell me I will write about you later. Talk to me. Talk to me, please.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I'm here. Talk to me, please. You don't talk to me. It's very obvious what are you
I'm so sorry, we're happy to see you again in our conference. We are organizing a conference next time, just a week before the election.
Just know that the man on your right side is not agreeing with you on philosophic power, on philosophic platform and everything. I know you are co-organizing something, but when you co-organize something, you cannot marry with someone with whom you say, I don't share her thoughts or her philosophy. You are marrying two organizations, and you say you are something else and he is something else.
I'm from civil society. I'm not politically affiliated person.
But he is politically affiliated person.
Yeah, it's true.
And you share the same platform.
I'm not share same
you share the same table.
Yeah. No, we share. But sometimes I sit with Azerbaijani government on the side event, and we are organize debates about the issues what's happening in the country.
So you are not agreeing with Mr. Mammadov's ideas?
I'm not obliged to agree with everything what Mr. Mammadov. Mr. Mammadov is politicians.
Yes.
They have his own opinion. But I'm so sorry. But let's give us floor to last question. We are happy to see you again.
Yes. Yeah. But just know that Mr. Mammadov doesn't have the human right in order to write even one letter about me after this event, because I'm here in this event confronting myself with Mr. Mammadov on a very intelligent level or a normal level, asking questions, in attending an answer. But I don't have the answers. He doesn't even look me in the eyes.
Okay, thank you for coming and for attending our event. It was a pleasure.
Answer me please about the end and about your position.
Please give